Welcome. It's time for lesson 5. We're going to talk about how to get a monthly personal letter out to your existing database today. So far in all these classes that you've been attending and watching along is working with some clients here to get the best results. We're going to maximize digital, but digital, when staying in touch with your database, will only take you so far. So we're going to have to make sure that we get your videos like physically in the hands of certain people, especially like in this case, people who are selling homes. The people that have homes to sell that have the equity to pay you are generally older and they're super more into getting something in the mail than saying the younger generation. So I know like we talk about viral marketing is all digital. No, viral marketing is about making you money. And if there's a media that I want to use that gets it done, we're going to talk about that today. All right. So before we get into that, let's just recap everything we've learned, guys. Got it? So let's take it from the top. So prerequisite for the class is I wanted you to read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book by Gary Keller, specifically the lead generation models of Mets and haven't Mets. You've hired Vyral to work your Mets. You need to have a strategy for your haven't Mets, which we talked about in lesson 1, which Vyral does not do. You, Rob, agreed to hire a runner to put something on the doors of all the distressed properties in Mesa, Phoenix. Is that correct? Unmute.
Yes,
How's it going?
it's going slow. I left town and
Okay.
and did not get the runner hired yet.
Is there anything you need from me to execute on number 1?
No.
I'm here for you if you need me. All right. We got to build a list, right? David, you're going to send a letter out to homeowners in a certain area of Vegas, inviting them to attend your seller workshop. The page for your seller workshop looks great. Again, if you're watching this, you can just go to Eventbrite, type in seller workshop, and pretty much just kind of model any of the ones that you see there. My one tip for you, Dave, is that nobody really knows who you are when they go register. I really want you to have a video on the Eventbrite page. You need to create a little video introducing yourself, why you're credible, what the workshop is about, what they're going to learn, so they get to know you a little bit. Because on your Eventbrite registration page, this says David Barnalb. I'm like, who is this guy? Right? If I were to get it. So it'd be nice to have a little video that you can actually put on the top of the Eventbrite page. Just something I want you to go do on your own. Okay, great. And then when it came to your letter that you want to mail, again, Vyral will not do this for you. This is not a Vyral thing. But if you want to figure out how to get a letter out to everyone in that area, the mail house that I recommend is itidirectmail.net. So itidirectmail.net, and put together a simple letter. They'll mail it for you. If you call them, they'll guide you and they'll consult you how to get the letter out. Just mail it first class. Okay. But you needed some help with what that actual letter looked like. So I typed something up for you. Sound good? I'll share it here with you. This is just something I personally did for you here, David. Let me see if I can find it and I'll pull it up. So here is, it's asking me for some crazy login. Hang on. Give me a moment. Dave, do you have the link you can put in the chat that I sent you this morning in case I'm having trouble pulling up here on my end and my browser's down?
I could just share my screen with
Oh,
the
I found
link.
it. Here it is. Okay, let me make my screen a little bit better here for the size. Okay, so something like this. So we have a headline. You're invited to what's the area of town you're doing the workshop in? You're muted.
Northwest Las Vegas.
Yeah. So you're invited to a Northwest Las Vegas homeowner virtual seller workshop with the date and time, and you'd be in Pacific Standard Time, right?
Yes.
And then the link where they can go get the ticket, whatever that is. And you can create like a shortened Eventbrite URL to allow you to do that versus the big, gnarly, long one. And then, dear first name, are you thinking about selling your house anytime soon? I'm ready because there's maybe only so many homes for sale in the area. Home prices in that area are up a certain percent, still. Or maybe even your neighbor so-and-so's home over in this area sold for just this price, something like that. But I wanted to offer you a 90-minute or 60-minute workshop ticket. Here's how I'm going to answer the top questions. You can go here and get a free ticket. You also call me if you want one. There's no cost or obligation, etc., etc. give me a call and your photo. Sound good?
Very good.
So you could take that and model that super easy direct response or letter that's very clear. Go check out my event. All right. So David, you're good. You know what to do. And I gave you some direction there. Rob, you're good. Brandy, how are you? I think last time we talked about a farm of about 200 homes you want to go after, which I think is on the small side, just statistically, of finding someone who wants to sell. Just be aware. But do you have remind me again, what was your plan for lesson 1?
Well, I think, figure out who was going to get it. And I figured out it was going to be the 200. But I'll tell you what, Frank, I looked yesterday and was looking at the number of sales in this area, and there were like 4. So I think that you're right that this is too small of an area.
Yeah. So just pick a larger area. I think
Okay.
I'd probably look at 1,000. I like to see. You're rarely going to find putting the statistics in your favor if the list is less than 1,000. When I do mailings, I have to go several thousand. You just have to have the odds in your favor of reaching a lot of people. All right, when you're doing your haven't met marketing. So again, I want you to go back and pick your target market again.
I am. I'm trying to, and also thinking maybe a more of a niche. I want to really niche down, if I can. So that's kind of where my head's at. But anyway, I'll develop that and
What
reach out to you. But we can keep
what
going.
what niche do you want to go after?
Well, so I kind of was thinking 2 different things. One of them I was thinking, downsizing seniors, and then the
Okay.
other one I was thinking about would be like acre or more property, because we have quite a bit of that around here. So, and I think it's kind of a niche. Not all agents know how to sell that. They don't know about septic tanks and water wells and things like that. So it's kind of a pretty good niche to have around here. So that or the seniors are the 2 that I'm leaning to, but I'm still kind of in that research stage of
Go after the seniors.
how.
Here's what I would do. Why don't you go look for everyone that does not have a loan on their home or has lived in their home for 30 plus years and see how big that market is. So type in a couple zip codes, type in Pflugerville, use PropStream, type in own the home for 30 or more years. See what you come back with. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And even you might be able to do a select on there where there's no loan. And I would reach out to them with the same idea. I think really what would work really well for that market is this is an offer we tried is fix and list. So a fix and list offer is another one we can talk a little bit about. I want to cover this is that if you lived in your home for quite some time, it may be dated or damaged. Give me a call. I'll tell you what improvements you should make to bring it up to current buyer preferences and which improvements are the least expensive and easiest that give you the highest return on your sales price. In addition to that, I've secured the financing for you to do all of the repairs with no money out of your pocket, with lien releases from the contractors, where even the contractors have been agreed to get paid at closing. I'll project manage all the improvements. It's your concierge program, your fix and list program. This is very common. There's a vendor out there called Curbio, I think, that does something like this. Curbio, you
I've
can look
worked
at.
with them. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
actually worked with them, and it
it's a
worked perfect.
it's a pre-listing improvement program.
Mhm.
So that type of message would really resonate with that market of if you're thinking about selling in the future, you want to downsize, let's talk about some improvements you can make up front to get the highest return on investment. And if you decide to make those improvements, I will manage the whole process. How's that? So why don't you Google around what Curbio's value proposition, a concierge program, pre-listing improvement program, a fix and list program, and let's work that into your messaging, right? For seniors, lived there for a long period of time, 20, 30 plus years, to fix up a dated or damaged house. Then you're going to have to pick how you're going to reach out from lesson number 1. Are you going to door knock? Are you going to call? Are you going to flyer? Are you going to direct mail? Right? You got to pick one. It's the worst part of the business is reaching out
Well,
and building a list.
but I can see it. We can see like a video series emerging, though, right? Of how this works, because a lot of times too, a lot of people just don't know where to start. So it's kind of like, this is what we can offer. This is how we do it. But just like kind of a little bit of an overview, so they even understand that this is in the realm of possibility for them.
Yeah. So just a phone call. of just saying, hey, give me a call and let's talk about some pre-listing improvements. Let me take a look at the home and I'll tell you where you put your money to get the maximum sales price. And then if you want to do it, I'll execute it. You'll project manage the whole construction process, remodeling process. All right.
Good. Yes, I love that.
It's another offer. It's just an offer. It's, you know, what offer can we make them for response that solves an immediate pain of the target market? Got it?
Yeah.
So I just want to keep following up on that, right? Lesson number 1, right? Lesson number 2, making sure we export all of your existing contacts and we have them in an email marketing program and I have them in a Facebook or Meta retargeting audience. We covered that whole lesson. All right. Lesson 3, make sure you're shooting 2 quality videos a month just on your phone. That's all we need, or your webcam. Keep it simple. I got this new iPhone 15. I always usually get it just because I want to see the video. It's insane. The video quality on these phones is surpassing like the top level DSLR cameras. So there's just no need to go spend on it. You have everything you literally need in your pocket to shoot a video. And what's really interesting too, in the iPhone, there's a thing called continuity camera, where you can actually clip your cell phone to the top of your laptop or computer, and your phone acts as a webcam. It looks incredible. I wish I had the clip. Hang on. Let me show it to you. Oh, I don't have it set up. If I did have it set up, hang on, did I just blur myself? I don't like that. The cameras are great. So now you know you have everything you need to pick really good topics to nurture the list to shoot your videos. All right.
Frank, is that inside the phone, the continuity?
Yeah, it's super cool. Like if you're using Apple, if you're using an Apple computer and you're using an Apple phone, to use your phone as a webcam is super easy and gorgeous. And that technology is only going to get better. So understand that to align yourself with history with shooting video, it's all phone. Got it? You don't need all the other fancy stuff. You're on the wrong side of where history is going. Next, last week's lesson. Okay, you're building the database. We're making sure we get it. You're shooting videos to a month. But we also need to put out offers for immediate response. We need to send an email out that gets people to register for something. Rob, what was your offer we agreed on last week? What was the email message I wanted you to send out to your database last week to like spike immediate lead generation? I should have these things written down. I do not. This is publicly me saying I am not prepared in my notes. But it is your job. But that is your job to know. Oh, Rob, let's just do this. Make sure you call your coach. I want you to get out what's my home worth email, a free home value email.
Yes, that's the one that we're doing.
Most likely, that's the most popular.
I already spoke to my coach last week about that. So
great.
That's in the works. You
don't have to do anything. Maybe like giving a little double check on the messaging. If anything's crazy has happened in the economy that we want to maybe adjust in the beginning couple sentences, send that, and it's going to spike a bunch of people back on a landing page to find out what their home is worth. It's good leads. David, what about you? What was your offer?
I wasn't here last week.
Oh, I apologize.
My home selling workshop is the only offer that I've been making to my existing database. I didn't send an offer.
Okay. So you're doing your free home selling workshop to a specific area, right? For lesson number 1 for growing your database through letters. If you do a seller workshop for your whole database, it's going to have to be like Las Vegas in general because it's going to everybody, right? Would you like to do that? I think that'd be a good idea. I mean, so here's the concept from last week. If you watch the replay, is on the viral marketing plan, I want 3 messages a month in your database. 2 of them are going to be videos. So 2 helpful videos a month. And then the 3rd message every month is going to be an offer for immediate response, a direct response lead generation message. Find out what my home is worth. Get a cash offer on your home. Register for my citywide seller workshop, right? Maybe request a pre-listing renovation consultation. Okay. We have all those for you pre-written. Just talk to Jack and get one that you're comfortable with. We'll go through all of them with you. And it's pretty much a copy and paste job that just drives back to a landing page of spike leads. Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
That monthly letter. So I know we're assembling a database.
That's today. We're going to talk about that today.
We're bringing together our Mets and putting them into that database, and then we're dripping on them, and they became a Met because they expressed some interest in
Yes.
or responded to some real estate thing.
Or they know you really well.
Well, so in that database, I've got some people that I've done business with multiple times that I've known
Yes.
for 15 years. If I have a limiting belief about sending them a monthly direct response mail that tries to push on them a real estate activity.
Yes. So we're going to go through that. You haven't seen that letter yet. That's today. So there's
Okay.
two types of mail here we're talking. The mail that Vyral does and the mail Vyral does not do. Vyral does not do the mail for lesson 1. Cold, hardcore, direct response lead generators to a bunch of strangers. You can do it, but not Vyral. Vyral, what you're paying for is today's lesson is let's maybe get a list of 150. 150 is a pretty good number. It could even be less. A real niche list of your best friends. Got it? Your best friends. And your friends can be people that are thinking about buying or selling soon. Fair enough? Your past clients, your best friends, people you probably would say hi to at a restaurant, right? Now let's make sure they hear from you once a month. And yes, that's more of a personal newsletter style than just a hardcore offer. You would go to the Habit Mets with a hardcore offer, but the Mets is going to have more of a personal tone to the message. All right. So you are correct on that, Dave. You are correct. It is weird going to your friends, asking them to respond for business all the time, is what you're trying to say. Brandy, last week's lesson, direct response lead generation offer. Which one did you choose?
I did your home value,
Good.
but it was a little bit varied because the message that I was getting out was for my event that's this weekend. I had them put that front and center on the email that went out to the database.
Okay, so whenever you send a direct response lead generation message to your list, only one offer. Here's the reason I'm
Oh,
writing you. This is what I want you to do. Respond this way.
okay, got you. Okay, that's the letter, not the video email.
Nope. So there's three, we'll get to here. There's 3 types of emails I want you to send to your database every month. 2 of them are videos where they click to watch the video. And one of them is just a text email that invites them to get something, right? That third message is what we talked about last week, is that lead generation message, right? And honestly, in the video emails, we could put some other stuff in there. It's fine. It's kind of more like a newsletter. So you have your video at the top, and if you want to work something else in, that's fine. We can make space for it and put that in that video email. But do not put anything else in the direct call to action, direct response lead generation emails that go out. Those are very specific to get them to click a link and go back to a landing page to register.
Okay, got
Right.
it. Okay, then
So
yeah, then that didn't happen. My event promotion is what
the event
happened.
probably went first, which is fine, which is still a direct response lead generation offer to get someone to register for an event.
Yes.
But this next one, a couple weeks later, why don't you send out an email to invite people to find out what their home is worth on your website? That'll work perfect. All right. Good. All right, you guys. So that's everything we covered so far. It's hopefully just kind of drilled in your head of like this boring, and the key is boring, boring, consistent machine that just keeps producing leads without much creative and emotional exhaustion over a long period of time. Isn't that kind of what you want? Hopefully the answer is yes, because that's what you're buying. All right. Because you just follow this and it produces without having to constantly come up with all these new creative ideas to generate leads. All right. So here's what I want to talk about today. Your 36 touch marketing plan. We talked about lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. You're getting emails out to your database, basically, at this point. All right. You'll be lucky if 30% actually see them. 70% of the people in your database will never even get the messages that you're trying to send them. This is a fact, right? Like an email open rate and engagement rate. So while email's cheap, it's very inefficient. The alternative to that is direct mail. It's expensive, but it's extremely efficient. If you have their mailing address, I can pretty much assure you the open rate is 100%. Whereas an email is only going to be 30 at best, usually. Right? So here's what I want you guys to think about. David, you're going to spend all this money and time generating these home seller workshop leads. And you spent all this money and time cultivating some very important key economic relationships with certain people. Are you going to rely on email where it has a 70% chance and they're never seeing it? Or are you going to rely on are you going to rely on social media that you will literally have no idea if they ever see it because it will never tell you? I mean, it's just, you know, absolutely not. Right? If we think accurately, right? So it's important to sit down and be like, okay, yes, I have all these emails. Yes, I have, this Facebook retargeting audience that I have literally no visibility whatsoever in a black box if any of the right people are supposed to see this stuff. And I'm literally going to get a report that over half of the people will never even open my emails. You need to make a list of the people that absolutely must get the message. Are we clear? We need to make a mailing list of the people that must get the message. And that's going to be your monthly print letter on the Vyral system. And I will tell you, clients of ours that do this are like, Frank, thank you for teaching me to do letters, because that's like the biggest value proposition of you guys. Like, I get the emails and social media, great. But like the thing that really drove phone calls of someone paying me was the letter. Got it? It's true. Once you think about it. So let's talk about building a mailing list. So the first thing you have to do is create a Google spreadsheet. Just go create a Google spreadsheet, and you're going to create a column for first name, last name, address, city, state, zip. I don't need to show it to you. Any spreadsheet, create a Google Doc, Google spreadsheet. First name, last name, street address, city, state, zip. And you have to manually go in and start typing in names and addresses. It is very painful to do this. Very, very, very painful. It's the worst. All right. But let me tell you where I would start. Okay. I would go pull a list of everyone who has bought or sold a home with you that arguably still lives in the same state or the same city. And I would write down their name and the address of where they moved to, because hopefully you know that from those transaction data. And I would go back and I was like, you know what? Do you think this person could probably refer me? Did the transaction go well? Maybe even if it didn't, they probably will still refer you because the heat of the moment, right? But you need to start going down and writing the first name, last name, and street address where that person lives into the spreadsheet. I can't do that for you. You're not going to be able to hire someone to do that for you. It's something that only you can just sit down and do, is your actual, real, legitimate past clients. And you can go back as far as you want on that list. I mean, David, you've been in business for 20 some years. You could arguably go back 20 years of transaction data and go type in these names in the spreadsheet. It's going to be one of the most painful things you ever do. And I just want to be very clear on this. But it will be one of the most profitable things you can do. And how many times have you guys heard you need to do a better job in staying in touch with your past clients? You hear all the time, right? The number one thing, the way everyone does that, is they don't have a mailing list. That's it. So you got to build it. Here's the second thing I would do. Okay. Add anyone who actually refers you business. If you have any sphere, anyone that you actually know, like if you actually maybe go through your call records on your phone, you go through your Facebook posts, or you go through your Facebook messages, you're like, this person refers me. This person would actually send me business. Add them. And you're probably going to have to message them and ask for their address. Whereas you will probably more than likely have their address if they're like a past client, you transacted a sale with them, especially if they were the buyer, because you know the home they bought. You may not know where they moved to if they sold. Hanging in there? Third, leads. Leads. Do you have a list of like your legit future buyer leads and a list of your legit future sellers? Where do you keep your list of like people that said, you know what? Yeah, I'm open to selling maybe next year or this, whatever. Great. Where do you put that information when someone says they're thinking it over and they want to stay in touch in the future? Get their mailing address information. All right. And then after that, it's going to be a sphere. You can just fill it out with whatever you want. Probably one of the easiest things to do is to just go through all your Facebook friends and pull it up and just start looking at all of them saying, and here's the criteria. Do I think this person would say good things about me or refer me to someone if they knew someone who's buying or selling? And then write their name down. That's it. And I would challenge you to probably get to a list of 150. Frank, why 150? Well, they call that Dunbar's number, and you can Google it. It's probably the number of relationships any one person can hold. Could it be more than that? Yes. Can it be less than that? Yes. The principle behind probably the number 150 is that it's a small number relative to what we usually think about with marketing, online marketing. Got it? The principle here, it's a small niche list. The other principle I would use is anyone that goes on that list, if you called them, they would call you back. Hopefully, Rob, if I called you, say, hey, Rob, it's Frank, I want to talk to you, call me. You would just call me back saying, well, Frank, what's up? Or Dave, hey, Dave, Frank Closets, give me a call, need to talk to you, bye. You'd probably call me back, right? Because that relationship is there. But there's a lot of people, like everyone else, if I were to say that, they go, who's Frank and what's this about? Leave me alone. No, right? Because there's no relationship. So I like to use as a pass the test of if I called you, would you call me back test? If they go on the list, that's a pretty good test. Brandy, you too. Hopefully you call me back as well. All right. So here's your assignment. You have to do this. You need to go time block some time, probably in a hotel room like I'm sitting in right now, away from distraction. And you're going to have to sit down and do this. And it is a painful exercise of name by name by name of building your mailing list. And it even goes, and there's another thing too, make sure it's properly formatted. Make sure the street is properly formatted, the city's properly formatted, the first name and last name is properly formatted, and create that Google sheet and then just share it with us. Share it with your coach so we can add it to your folder inside the folder, the Google Drive folder that we use for you here at Vyral Marketing. So we say this is your mailing list. And that way, if you get any return mail, you can update the list. We can move people on, move people off. We need to pay attention to this because it's going to cost you about $1, maybe $1.50 per name. So we want to kind of prune it like a tree or a shrub to always make sure it's your best contacts. All right. So let's talk about this. I don't want to show you the letter until we have a list. The letter is useless until we have the list. So Rob, tell me
Real quick,
how
Frank.
we're executing this.
So yeah, I feel pretty confident in being able to put together this list. It is just that time blocking thing, but how often are you pruning and reviewing that? Would you recommend to make sure that that's really your Dunbar's list?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a moving target. Probably how I do it is first returned mail. The mail didn't get delivered. Okay, absolutely removing them or calling to get it fixed. That's for sure. Okay. And then whenever I have a good lead, whenever a new good lead comes in, that this person is qualified. I mean, in business, they call it, they have the budget, authority, need, and time frame to make a decision. The BANT, B-A-N-T. If they're qualified, they go on my mailing list. Got it? That's for sure. The next for sure is this is a past client. This person has transacted business. They go on the list. And every new customer that comes in, we always ask, how'd you hear about us? Who should we thank for your business? That person goes on the list. Got it? So I would say those are my hard stop. That's like very black and white, Rob, of how they get on the mailing list. Okay. The question you're asking is like, when would they not pick up the phone for it anymore? When do you prune that? Probably once a year. Maybe once a year, I would sit down and be like, all right, how strong are these relationships? Have I invested in any of these lately? Or would you pick up the phone and call them? Right? I would definitely take them off if you would not pick up the phone and call them. That's probably a good test, like at the next tier. Sound good? So you got to kind of have some of these rules in your gut as you're going through and you're building this list of like, what's the criteria for getting someone on and off? That should hopefully help you out. And then ultimately, you're going to be like, well, let's just keep adding them while that brings up your expense. Remember, every name that you add is going to be about $1.50 a month. You're going to invest in that name. I want you to figure you're probably going to spend at lower volumes, probably $20 a year per name to mail. I think the letters cost about $1.35 now a piece at lower volumes. So every name that goes on that list is worth $20 a year to you. Fair enough, because you're going to send them a monthly letter. How's that, Rob?
That's great. Great.
Yeah, and then anyone that you remove, just call them and say, hey, you're not worth $20 a year to me. All right.
Those would be fun conversations.
Wouldn't it? I always, back in the day, like a decade ago, I'd call my unsubscribes. Like, why? Why did you unsubscribe? Yeah. Dave, building your list. You know you have to do this. There is no way to argue against doing this. Tell me what you need to get this done other than just pure brute force focus.
I have my list.
Yes, you do have your list. Jack told me. How many are on it?
Too many. 300 and
That's fine. If you want to spend the money, I like it. I would prefer it if you have the budget for it. But I'm perfectly fine with 300. No problem with that at all. Okay. Will you just tell everyone here what you did to build that? What it was like?
Well, it took a little bit. I didn't, I mean, the first place I started was my past clients. I did that. I went and I had that labeled. And so I pulled all those out and went through that list personally. And then I went to my phone and used that app that you recommend, Covve, Covve. And I was able to pull all my phone numbers and contacts out of my phone and realized how many folks weren't in my 150 that were in my phone that should have been. And so that was a big eye opener. And then I just personally went through my Instagram and my Facebook and my
Beautiful.
LinkedIn and just pulled out those folks and then started a process to collect that snail mail, that regular mail information. And it's just grown over the months.
Dave, I love it. Thank you for doing that. Great. Brandy, any questions of what you have to do?
No, I did that through my email. Gosh, and Frank, I have hundreds of real estate agents that I had to take off that list because they're in my Gmail. So I'm wondering if I do it on my cell phone, I'm going to have hundreds of agents' phone numbers and just that I've dealt with over the past 20 years.
Okay, hang on. So I want you to build your mailing list of your past clients, right? So can you get all your transaction records from your broker?
Oh, yes, yes. I thought we were talking about pulling these leads off of our phone and email.
No. This is you manually building your best mailing list of like,
Oh,
what
sure.
are
No,
the,
I have that.
yeah. So like your actual past clients to receive physical mail, right?
Yes, got it.
But I
Yeah,
also
there
know,
are 200.
perfect. And you have that list in a spreadsheet you can share with us of their first name, last name, mailing address, city, state, zip.
Yes.
Oh, great. Share that with your coach. Dave, yours is shared. Rob, you got to build yours. Okay. Now, Brandy, I will step back because I know what you were referencing is like we just did a full bulk email export of everyone you know. Leave the agents on there. I would keep them on there for sure. You know, like it's a wonderful recruiting tool. I mean, do you think at any point you might want to hire a buyer's agent or a listing agent or someone to help work for you on your team?
Yeah.
Truly, honestly, is
Mhm.
that like in the it's probably in the future at some point, right? Some of your best recruits are the people that are kind of envious of you and paying attention to what you're doing and envious of the fact that like you're able to accomplish this and with all due respect that they're not, right? So what are they doing? They're getting an email from a competitor constantly of like you kind of crushing it marketing wise, and they're actually watching it. Now, why are they watching it? Envy, right? Or a role model, or want to learn what you're doing, right? One of the best recruiting lists is the agents clicking the links to watch your videos.
Okay,
100%.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we don't have a lot of clients at Vyral, relatively speaking. The market for somebody who is going to step up and get on video and send it out to literally everyone you know is like that big of an addressable market. So the chances of someone like stealing your stuff or using your stuff or anything like that are just incredibly low from like a worry standpoint in that part. I promise you. So just kind of for everyone watching this to think about that. Like usually what someone comes, they've been a client for a few years and the business is growing, they're doing business. They're like, okay, I want to recruit Frank. I want to go do all this recruiting stuff. I'm like, great, let's go pull all the agents that have been clicking your links for all this time. I'm like, oh, well, I removed them all. I'm like, oh, what a great recruiting source we could have pulled. Just so you know. All right.
Okay, good point. Okay, thanks.
That's all. That's all. I just gotta say it. So all right. So now let's go to letter, shall we? Let's go to letter. Now, I want to give some rules for letter, some principles to use. Let me just give you some principles for letter. It should look personal, not corporate. It should look personal, not junk. If we put too many graphics on it and we make it look pretty and we Photoshop it, it will go in the trash. Got it? So the more pretty you make it look, the more graphics you put on it, the more design you put on it, the worse it'll perform. Got it? It should look personal. That doesn't mean it can't look professional. So you got to find this blend. It should be personal, but professional. Fair enough? That's the first kind of rule I want to use. The second rule I want to use, it should be very easy to scan. You should be able to look at it and get the main idea really quickly. Very easy to scan with the eyes. Only 1 or 2 sentences per paragraph. Not the whole 4 or 5 sentences per paragraph we would learn in grade school. All right, it should be easy to scan and read. Very important.
Are
Next principle.
bullet points
Fine. Bullet points are fine. Just make it easy to scan. It should be very simple, relatively speaking. And it also needs to be easy to read. At least, I don't know. At least 12-point font. Ideally, even a little bit higher. Okay. Maybe go up as high as 14-point font. Right for grandma. Okay. Right for grandma to be able to see. All right. And when it comes to the content, I'm only looking for 3 things for you guys. I'm looking for a reason you're writing me with maybe an update of the market. Let's open the letter with, why are you writing me? And give me something useful. Fair enough, which can just be, I just want to update you on the state of the market since you're all in real estate. That makes sense to me. Let's open with kind of entering the conversation going on in people's heads. But the number one question everyone always asks is, here's your kind of a, what's up with the market from your friendly realtor? That's how we're going to open the letter. Okay. The next part of the letter is we're going to share your latest video or videos. Let me let you know about these video or videos that I shot to help you too. Answering, if you're following the Vyral system, some commonly asked question. And then you're going to give them a call to action, an offer. And if you're actually thinking about buying or selling, call me, email me. Here's what I can do for you. Here's how I can solve your pain. Here's how I can solve your problem. This is what I do. I have to remember, just remember your database is not thinking about you. Okay. And they forget that you're in real estate. I mean, isn't it crazy like how many times a friend or family member or past client hires someone else? Rob, you're shaking your head. Is it true?
That never happens to me, ever.
It's your job to pull out a club and beat them over the head with this letter every month and remind them that you're there to help them buy and sell real estate because they will forget every month. Are we clear? They will forget. All right. I give you permission. Just bam, bam on their head with this letter. Okay.
The worst is when your best friend does it.
And you never really know. Was it because they just didn't want to go into a transaction with you and ruin the relationship? That's legitimate, right? But is it really they just forgot? They might have just forgot because you're always talking so much personally. Ever bring up the fact that you're available for hire? Okay. So I give you permission to remind them you're available for hire. So let's now break down those principles and the template I'm going to give you. All right. So you pull up, so you have your Google Sheet of your mailing list, and then you have your Google Doc of the personal letter template. Let's take a look. I think I have the right one up. I should probably have my, there we go. Okay. So this is just a template. So let's just kind of take a look at the whole thing from a 10,000 foot view here. Okay. So here's the letter. Ideally, I think I probably want to break up these lines a little bit more after what I just said. I would like to even break up the lines a little bit more on this one, but this one still works, but the text is a little clumpy for me. Might change that. But outside of that, does it look personal? Yes. Does it look professional? I would say so. Yeah, I think it does. It kind of hits that both blend, right? Here's how I have it. So here's your logo, where you'd expect it. A reminder to call me before you buy or sell. And here's maybe the February, the March, the April, Nevada real estate update, Austin real estate update, Texas real estate update, whatever it is. Okay. Bob, this is how you do a first name merge with the mail house. You put it in brackets. They'll merge in the first name from the CSV file you send them. Here's a quick update on the real estate market for 123 Elm Street, where they'll merge in the property address of the person that you mailed it to. Isn't that great? I think that makes sense. Okay. And then I have a little market update. And just so you know where I got this information, actually was Redfin. If you type in, let's just take Las Vegas real estate market update. I think Redfin does the best job. I just clicked Redfin's results here. So I'd say your market's somewhat competitive. They received 2 offers on average around 37 days. The median sales price of a Las Vegas home was 410 last month. Hasn't moved. Median sales price is 246. Does that sound somewhat right, Dave? At least it's not totally wrong. Yeah, so look, I mean, us at Vyral, we're not going to know. We're just going to go online and pull something that's not totally inaccurate, and we'll put it together from one of these like AIs. Go
This
ahead.
is fine. This is fine.
It's fine.
What
But
these
it's very easy for you to go and add your insight and change some numbers around with like what's going on in the market for that first paragraph in the letter. But it's not hard for any of our people at Vyral watching this. All you have to do is type in the person's market, and you'll see a whole list of results on the first page of Google with all these AI stats. Fair enough. And you're going to write something based upon what you see. It's not going to be terribly wrong, but it won't be really that accurate, right? Unless you ask the client. But that's kind of, here's what's going on in the market. I think we can come up with a paragraph of that for the whole city. That will not be difficult. All right. Now let's look at the next section. Watch our latest video updates. So I just took a screenshot of your latest 2 videos with the 2 topics, and we just drive them to your video blog that we built for you in the middle section. How's that? That's how you put a video in a letter. There you have it. Adds a lot of credibility, doesn't it? They see that. Then I put a very clear call to action right here with maybe something down here. It's another call to action that makes you unique. This was right from her Zillow. So we put this together for Amanda. I think Redfin wrote this, or any one of the AI market updates that you find when you Google, in this case, Huntsville real estate market update. There it is. These are the latest 2 videos at the time from her blog. Just grab the thumbnails, put them in there, took the topic. Great. That's pretty standard. And then we just went to their Zillow profile. Whereas usually on Zillow, you do a good job of trying to sell yourself of why someone should use you. Is probably where you write that. I would just grab that from their Zillow profile and put it there, and she loved it. Sincerely, your name. If you have any other disclosures, like she wasn't required to have any, but if you had to put like your DRE number or real estate number, you put that in the footer. No big deal. And then we put this little QR code. I don't know how many people use it, but it certainly looks cool. All right. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's nice. I think we use QR code monkey or something like that. If you use Google free QR code generator, let's take a look at QR code monkey. I think it is. Yeah, it is QR code monkey. There you go. There you go. We just put in your YouTube channel, your video blog, and just create a QR code. Pretty straightforward. You put that in letter. All right. So there you have it. So let's just talk about the letter. Dave, how do you feel about sending a letter like this to everybody?
I think it's great. I would send it every month.
Yeah. Rob, what do you think about this going to your leads, buyer leads, seller leads, past client sphere, something like this every month?
Best client sphere. I think it's great.
It's easy. Okay.
I just like my info in there instead of hers.
That'd be helpful, wouldn't it? Then she sells them back to you. 35%.
That's right.
Brandy, any questions on the letter? How do you feel about this?
No,
Honestly.
I think it's good. Yeah, once a month, I think is good. Or I mean,
Yeah.
you could really do it once a quarter too. I mean,
You
what
could.
do you think? Do you think that once a month is too much on top of the videos, on top of the social media, on top of the events? Like I always kind
Always,
of
you have
walking
to
the line.
overdo it. Here's the deal. You
Okay.
need to push it until you're seriously uncomfortable. You have to. You have to push it until you're really uncomfortable. And for the consumer, it's just kind of like they're just now getting it. So it feels really uncomfortable to you. But for the consumer, it's like they're just now getting it. I mean, think about TV ads you hear all the time. Think about the billboard you see every single day driving down. Think about the Facebook ad you see popping up all the time, right? It's like almost multiple times a day frequency sometimes for some ads. You know, people will drown out of them. Again, when you read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book with Gary Keller, it talks about the lead generation model. The whole concept of 33 touch they talk about in there, which what we're really going to use a 36 touch. When that came out, that was insane. Everyone's like, this is an insane number of times to stay in touch. It was absurd, right? And that was the whole principle behind 33 times is when you look at all the top people, what they're doing for advertising is they're overdoing the frequency. So more frequent. Yeah. Now, could you mail quarterly, a larger list? Sure, that's fine. You're getting some mail. I think the principle here is if you're not doing any direct mail with your database, you are really leaving money on the table from like a money invested to ROI standpoint, maximum ROI. Like you're literally your best past clients, your best contacts, your best leads. They are not seeing you. Let's just assume they're not. You just cannot rely on digital and email to do it. Ain't gonna happen. Like statistically, I show you. So we have to make sure they're seeing us in the mail. Let's start there. Then we can think about, okay, is it monthly or quarterly? Sure, either way, I'm going to recommend monthly. All right. And then what do we send them? I recommend personal mail. So it goes in the A pile versus the B pile. And this is what I like it to look like. And there you have it. So we'll put this together for you. This is not hard. We can write this up. I mean, this pretty much, look, this stays the same all the time. This pretty much stays the same all the time. This stays the same all the time. 2 new thumbnails with a title. That's not difficult. This stays the same all the time. And this is kind of a copy and paste job from the first page of Google. This is not hard to put together, right? So now we save this as a PDF once you approve it. So here's this 1-page PDF that's saved that once you have your letter, okay? And then we have was I sharing my screen there? Hopefully, when I was showing you that, hopefully you saw my screen. Yeah, like this is not hard. This is the same. This is the same. This is a quick switch out, right? This is just some market stats that are not terribly inaccurate. All right. Change the February, March, April. This is not a difficult thing to systematize. You have your mailing list that you're pruning, that Google sheet, right? That's synced with us. We know to grab it. Now it's time to place the order. Let me show you how to place the order. Let's do it. All right. So we're going to go to itidirectmail.net. It's just like sending an email. Remember how we use my Emma to like upload a letter, an email list and a letter or an email? It's the same thing here. We're going to use ITI direct mail to send a letter just like you would send an email. So we're going to go over here. There we go. We're going to choose mail merge letters, and you're going to have your own account. Okay. Here's the selects I recommend. So let's say, Dave, you have what, 300 people in your list? Something like that. There you go. There's 300 people on this Google spreadsheet. I want you to choose 70-pound white letterhead. This is a nicer quality of paper than really cheap copy paper. Don't send cheap copy paper. And the letter, we're going to do color on the front and blank on the back. And yes, we're going to do a mail merge. I put it on there for first name and property address. I think that's fine. Sure. Okay. Envelope type, regular old white envelope. An envelope is going to be black and white on the front, blank on the back. Do not put your logo on the envelope. I don't recommend it. You got to get the thing opened. Anything that suggests business mail may not be helpful. Let's just leave the logo off. Postage, let's just do first class regular. Okay, that's perfectly fine. First class regular postage with a real stamp. All right. Stay away from the handwritten font. Don't need that. Let's just use normal types from a real name to a real name typed. This is where you put your return address. David, I want you to leave off your company. Let's not put anything on the envelope to show that it's commercial mail. Let's do everything we can to make sure it looks personal mail. Fair enough. 123 Elm Street, Las Vegas, Nevada. Whatever. Okay. That's what the return mail address looks like. Yes, 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 yes. Order now. And that goes in your card. So Dave, that would cost you $353.53 to mail that list. Fair enough? That letter will get out. It's crazy. I will see people blow money on everything. That produces nowhere near the ROI that this will over time. Makes sense. Especially if you've called to confirm the mailing addresses and you've gone the extra step of actually, just like you're sending a wedding invite, of every single person in the list to actually get the right address. Place the order, send them a list, upload the list. I won't take you all through it, but I'll walk you through how to do it. You can call them if there's any trouble, and they will literally mail letters. That's it. Go ahead, Dave.
So one of the interesting things that I think it was an aha for me is that the value is not in people signing up for the workshop and coming to the workshop, if that's what I'm selling or promoting or calling to action, but it's just the capture myself of the information, their email, their contact information, because then that allows me to stay in touch with them over time.
Yeah.
How much should I expect? So let's just say that I've got this home seller workshop that I'm running in the Northwest that we've talked about. Now, I know I'm going back a little bit, but let's say that I've decided that I'm going to mail these 2,100 folks a first class letter. So I'm going to spend, let's say, $2,300.
Let's find out.
To send that out. So there's 2,100 of those.
And at higher volumes, we do first class pre-sorts. Let me change the
So you want me to do first class pre-sort?
Yeah, at larger volumes. And this is not what Vyral does. So for Vyral, let's just do first class.
Oh, okay.
But you're talking about a totally cold mailer that is not what Vyral does. You're going to spend $1,883 to mail 2,100 or 2,100 people.
Okay. And so then my question about that is so there's value in the names that I'm capturing independent of coming to the workshop and saying, hey, I want to sell my house. What is a good measurement from a direct mail standpoint of what I should be paying per earned information from those 2,100 people? Do I need to get...
Here's the deal, Dave. I got to be honest with you. Those numbers only matter when you're spending millions of dollars.
Okay.
Okay. So seriously, the question you're asking is important, but it only matters when you're spending millions of dollars on advertising. Okay. when you're spending very low volumes, which is anyone watching any of these recordings ever will be spending, relatively speaking, in the advertising world, there's only one number that matters. I'm going to give you the one metric: customer acquisition cost. So, Dave, you're going to spend $1,883 on this. How much can you afford to spend to get a listing? You probably spend up to 20% of your commission to get a listing. Does that sound about right? Let me ask you this. If you got one deal for the $1,800, would you take it?
Yes, every
And there
time.
you go. One deal. If you get two, great. Three, oh my gosh. Oh, right. That's all that matters is customer. Google it, study it. Customer acquisition cost, the CAC, customer acquisition cost. It is the number one most important number in marketing, is how much you can afford to spend to get a customer. And usually for most businesses, ideally it's 10%. You can go as high as 20%. As a whole in your business, ideally it's 10% because the profitability of your past clients and sphere are really high. When you're going cold, you're going to spend a lot more. But so like per lead source, Dave, you're going to have customer acquisition source cost per lead source. Like Zillow leads, 35%, right? Or referral service, higher than that. Cold direct mail is probably high, 20, 30%, right? Okay. Database, cheap. There was nothing there. Maybe there was no customer acquisition cost, pure referral, right? So the blended CAC is maybe 10% of your total GCI. So if you get your P&L at the end of the year and you say how much money did I spend on marketing, you get all this gross commission income and it's 10% of it, that's wonderful. That's exactly where you should be. All right. But if you break it down by lead source, the cold ones will be higher than the warm ones, but it's blended at the end of the year around 10%. Does that make sense? That's how I think about it. Customer acquisition cost. The person who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. All right. Can you hear me, Dave?
Yeah, the least. Whoever spends the least.
No, the most. Oh, no. You won't get anywhere trying to spend the least amount of money to get a customer. Your business will never grow.
Well, you mean up front, whoever spends the most to get customers. It's not cost. So you're
Up
saying that
front, yes.
because it's not cost, highest cost per the customer acquisition cost goal isn't to be as high as possible. That's
It
to
should
be
be as high as you can afford to run a profitable business. The customer acquisition cost should be as high, as high as you could possibly afford to run a profitable business. What is the customer lifetime value and how much of that customer lifetime value can we spend to acquire a customer?
Ooh, that's a whole now we've taken it to a whole different level because the customer acquisition cost for the first transaction theoretically is much higher than it is for the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And so over the life of the customer, if you do 5 transactions with them over their life of being in
Then
your
you could
business,
argue that you'll do it,
might
that
be
you'll,
2%.
yeah. Well, that's how I started Vyral, is I just did free work. I would, well, I paid for the customer big time. I did it for free. I mean, I would get on a plane, buy a hotel, go to an event. I'm out thousands of dollars. And I'd be like, dude, just hire me for free. I'll do the work for free. And then I would go pay staff. Like I was just losing, hemorrhaging money.
Yeah, yeah.
But what did I get? A client that had good things to say about me, that could refer me because I knew that person could introduce me to people. So I was thinking in terms of I would be able to spend a lot of money to get you, Dave, in Vegas, right? And it wasn't even on like the subscription money for Vyral. It was more about the referrals that could come from the relationship. That's 100% how I think.
Sure. And so you're just multi-purpose, and also that acquisition cost to other things like the testimonials helps build a completely different segue or segment of your business to drive more business. And so that's just
Absolutely.
that's an indirect benefit
Yeah,
of
but I want you to, when
acquisition
you're
cost.
thinking of advertising, this is the question. And Brandy, I want you to keep it the same thing. It's like you are going to spend a lot of money, whether it's a lot of time, which is capital, and money to grow your business. And at the end of the day, you really need to know how much are you willing to spend to get a client. And if it's just on the first transaction, it's not that much. But if you start thinking about total lifetime value, and you're willing to raise that price up, what you're willing to spend. But then do you have the financial runway to do it? these are all, I'm telling you, what we're talking about here, every single business has literally every business that exists goes through these questions. It's just an accurate way of thinking about the advertising. So here's the way I want you to apply it for today's lesson. Dave, you're better off before you go below $1,800 on a workshop. Okay. You'll get better response over time of taking that list of 300 and go spend the 353 on the existing list. That's going to pull really well for you over time than mailing the cold list. But it's like viscerally different doing that, right? So here's where I'll leave today, guys. All right. Your assignment for today's lesson to get the most from the Vyral Marketing Plan. You need to build a list of your best contacts that you don't trust email and social media is going to get the message to them, because it's not. All right. Build that list. And for the sake of a number, I'm going to give you 150. Could it be less? Yes. Could it be more? Yes. Got it? You need to put a Google spreadsheet together, first name, last name, address, city, state, and zip. And I kind of shared you how to think about creating that list and what I would use to add person to that list and where I'd start building that list. Fair enough? And then it's time to start your October or November newsletter. Let's just go right now. Why don't you create your November newsletter? Take out November. Your November 2023 letter. And then do it in December, do it in January, in February, and March. It moves fast. You're like, oh my God, I keep buying all this mail all the time. It's like every 3 weeks from when you pass the latest order, you gotta order another one. You know what I mean? It moves. Okay. So Dave, for you, if you have a list of 300, I want you to budget, I don't know, $7,000-8,000 a year for the mailings. Like what's 353 times 12? I can't do math.
4,000.
Okay. I was way off. It is 4,000. So I want you to budget $4,000 to mail all of your top contacts in 2024. How about that? Why don't you go put in a bank account, save it, don't spend it, and set aside where you're going to mail all those people every single month for the entire year next year. And you tell me how much business you get from that letter. I bet you it's pretty good. All right. Same thing for you, Brandy. You're going to build your list, set aside the amount of money every single month, and we'll order it for you. We'll put it together for you. Vyral does everything I showed you here. It's just that we charge your card for it. So it's your card and your letterprinting.net account where we order it just like email credits. All right. And get with your coach and put together a letter with that template. Let's put that in place. How's that? Questions for me? This is a good system, guys.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. The letter is to the niche market that we've decided. Like, for example, David, you're going to do. Is that what you're talking about, to the market that you pick? This is
so
different.
there's two different types of letters. You have letters to your haven't mets that Vyral does not do, and you have letters to your mets, which Vyral does do.
So the haven't mets is who we use, the system that you were just talking about.
No, the system the system today we talked about for your mets. So for lesson 1, you have to go build your database. You have to go figure that out on your own, but I gave you some guidance on how you'll do that based upon lesson 1. And yes, you can use letters to build your database 100%, and you can mail thousands and thousands and thousands of them to get people to call you 100%, right? However, you're going to have people who respond, and you're going to have your past clients, and you're going to have your sphere. You're going to have your best contacts, probably maybe like 150 of them. I want to make sure they get a letter every single month for you on the Vyral Marketing system. And today we talked about building your absolute best contacts in this lesson to making sure they get a monthly letter. It's a very important distinction. Lesson 1, the letters go to strangers. In today's lesson, lesson 5, the letters go to people you know. Send letters to the people you know before you start mailing to strangers. You'll get a better result mailing people who know you or nurturing or past clients. Start with those people first before you go spend a whole bunch of money building your database.
Okay, and the system, the IT direct mail that David's talking about spending $1,200 on, that's haven't mets.
You can use it for both. You can use ITI direct mail for lesson 1, and you can use ITI direct mail for lesson 5. You can mail the letters through to a cold farm, or you can mail the letters through them to a warm list. You can use them for either strategy. It's one vendor, but you can apply 2 different strategies of how to use them. One cold, one warm. Good question. I gotcha, dude. I understand this stuff can be confusing. That's what you guys are here. This is why I want to help you. Gotcha, Brandy. Other questions? Why don't you guys just leave here with this? Make sure you have your list and work with us to get your letter written using the template that I shared with you. And hopefully get that done this week. And the next lesson, next week, we're going to talk about social media. All right. Next week, you're going to get all excited about social media and you're going to forget this lesson. So this is a more important lesson than what we're going to talk about next week. You'll get much better results doing this lesson than next week's lesson of social media. I promise you. All right. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you, Frank.
All right. I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you next week. Later.